Welcome to the Radiant Goddess Show, where wisdom and empowerment meet. I'm your host, Jasmine Srinika Crystal Singer, and we have our co-host today, Julie McAfee.
Hello and welcome to our show today. We are very excited and pleased to announce a very special guest. And Sarah Eden, she goes by Eden. I would like to go ahead and just read your bio. I don't have it memorized. Eden Amadora is an ordained priestess of the 13 Moon Mystery School, an archetypal voice and embodiment coach, ceremonial singer, and prayer
Performance
artist. With over 20 years of shamanic and yogic training with a focus on sound and movement integration. Her work is in service for those who are ready to embody their most essential radiant selves and express their authentic voices. Eden's passion is for witnessing the incredible transformation that occurs when she creates and holds ceremonial space, offering a sacred container for others to have an embodied experience of working with the archetypes of the divine feminine. As a singer and prayer performance artist, she has performed in several large venues and for benefits to raise awareness for planetary sustainability and peace. She currently enjoys writing, recording, producing, and performing devotional electronic music with her band Amadora, which is amazing. Eden Amadora offers ceremonial circles, retreats, devotional temple days, and one-on-one sessions for women who are ready to rest into a more self-trusting place, awaken to their true beauty and embodied self-love, align more deeply with their soul purpose, and live into a greater joy and connection to source and sisterhood. So I highly recommend even to go to her website to just even during the interview, and so you don't forget to listen to her music, look at her offerings. She does women's retreats. She's actually having one this month in on the Hawaiian Islands, which is very exciting, and I'm sure you'll be able to go to her Facebook page and learn more about how that all went and the beauty of her work. So thank you for being here, Eden. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for inviting me and having me here. It's an honor.
And so today's episode is how to walk your talk as an awakened queen. And it would be so beautiful, Eden, if you would just lead all of us here and all of the sisters who are going to be joining us, so we arrive at the same place and time, even for all of the beautiful radiant goddesses who will be joining us after this interview today.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to invite us to just come back to this here now precious moment in our bodies together. And tools of the priestess path I'm on are very simple. And one of them is a simple mudra where we just take our right hand and bring it to the above, and with a vertical line, let us just close our eyes and draw a line slowly down our center to our heart. Our other hand is just holding space below the navel. Breathing the heart, feeling your back body. Now bringing that other hand up to meet the first hand in the mudra of Namaste. Let us set an intention for this container and this work we do here today together, and for the listeners, just to be receptive and to open to receive whatever inspiration, whatever you hear, that it touch you in some way. And for us, three radiant goddesses who are holding this space, that our highest selves, our souls, really just amplify this intent of beauty, true beauty spreading on the planet, and this empowerment that we are a great part of rippling out. So we set this container with this high frequency intention to really rest in our own essence, our true beauty, and that the goddess herself just use us like her channels, her voices, that we are her embodied presence here and now on the planet, opening to what is of highest service today for all. We give thanks, invoking a ray of joy and gratitude to be here now in this body at this time, doing this good work here. So namaste. I honor you all. I'm very, very touched to be here.
Namaste. Thank you, Eden.
Oh. Let it be so. Thank you.
So for all of our viewers on the Radiant Goddess Path who are committed to evolving and shedding their skin and reaching, higher and higher levels on this spiral towards enlightenment, sometimes the journey can feel pretty heavy or even challenging at times. I know that you work in a very, very special way, Eden, not only with all of your metaphysical learning and your knowledge, but also helping women embody their own highest truth, shine their light as brightly as they can by connecting to the sacred arts. I know that you have a unique journey as a recording artist that's led you to doing the beautiful work that you do today for the planet and uplifting all of us radiant goddesses. So I wonder if you tell us a little bit about your journey and maybe some of the struggles that you faced and how they've led you to step into your highest power as an awakened queen.
Thank you. So I'm just reflecting back of where I was and how far I've come. And my path was always graced with insights and moments where I would have a deep connection to source or spirit as a young one. And for me, I didn't have practices until my 20s that helped me kind of anchor into a meditation, into a sense of, wow, there's more than just this game of succeeding in life in the mundane sense. But I remember being really young and feeling like I'm not alone. Like I felt very guided. I felt this kind of divine presence and angelic guidance coming through, and especially in nature. And from a young age, song and poetry became a medium for me to really tap into that inspiration. At the same time, on my path, there was a lot of unintegrated shadow, or just the need for the ego to be validated constantly. This feeling of if I'm not seen as special or beautiful, then do I even exist? And so there was this dichotomy of so much light and this kind of this pure, creative, joyful essence. And then this, human journey, my hero's journey with transmuting this need for validation constantly. And that need for validation, and also just the circumstances of my journey, brought me into the glamour world, deep into the heart of international modeling, and just all the snares and temptations and illusions that held. And I went through some very dark times, dark night of the soul type experiences, to really start to feel the cost of the betrayal of the self, the misuse of power, the distortion of beauty as just a commodity, a physical beauty that some have and others don't, the illusion of that. And through my own journey going right into the heart of darkness in the glamour world, and then the shattering that my soul choreographed for me to be able to begin again, to be able to really tap into a deeper love and coming into wholeness within. My whole trajectory changed so much from my late 20s, when I was modeling internationally and had just sealed a record deal. And for me, there was so much fear, this undercurrent of almost like, I can't hold it all together. And because it was all by my own unsteady ego and willpower that I was manifesting from, this desire to just be seen or make money. And the shattering that occurred in retrospect was the greatest blessing that could have ever happened for me, in the letting go of what is not real. And then the beginning again from that just core essence, simplicity of music for my own healing, music for these insights and awarenesses that are bubbling up. And the whole path changed. My spiritual path and my creative, artistic, professional path started to merge together and weave together in such a different way, in such a beautiful way, a holistic way, where the next albums weren't this kind of the first album that was a big record deal was such a angry breakup album that was so much about just being cool and tough and sexy. And the album that came out of that Dark Night of the Soul and the releasing of all that was for yoga. It was for awakening. It was for sharing the insights and the beauty of what I had been through. And it was for myself, as part of my healing process. And since that first album that was called Floodlight, I began writing less in my own personal drama, that kind of like small self story, and opening up to a larger mythic story. So the next album was called Allies and Angels, and it really popped me into this sense of service. And these anthems came through about like, you're the one you've been waiting for, and it's up to us. And I'm calling you to stand by my side, go down in the darkness, like the darkness of our own shadow, and mine the gold and fight the good fight, which is really just to bring our loving presence here now together. And shortly after that project, I found myself in my yogic practice evolved into this tantric practice, which I would call, not in the sense of what we usually think of the sexual tantra, but the tantra in the sense of really yoking spirit and form, communing with the archetypes of the divine feminine. And I found the 13 Moon Mystery School at that time. And through the incredibly potent journey that took me on, I couldn't help but align those creative juices and that artist self with these faces of the goddess, and open up to listen, like, what is the song of the Great Mother? And what does she have? What's the transmission for me in my life right now and for others? And that, listening to that, and then thinking, oh, this must be like a really soft new age album that's coming through. And then the very next goddess coming through, the goddess of compassion, listening, what is the song of that frequency? And it instead becoming this anthem of like trumpet angels heralding that we be love here now on this planet at this time. And just going on this wild ride with each of these archetypes, from the goddess of compassion to Kali Ma, who that song is almost like a rock and dubstep, like dark, crunchy realm of like, are you done with that? Are you going to drop the mask? And so really just listening as an artist and being blown away by what I was shown, and feeling so grateful for that journey, and watching how that then evolved into me wanting to hold this work for other women, to sit in that position of focalization for others to have an embodied experience of these archetypes.
Magnificent, Eden. I think there are so many things also, Julie, that, just jump out at me in Eden's beautiful journey. One of them is something that many of the radiant goddesses who I know I work with, and also Julie work with, we're talking about their issues, or our issues actually, as women, with self-image, with self-worth, with needing what you said, from the approval to come from outside. We live in a culture in which we're inundated with photoshopped images, airbrushing. What we see is not even real. And through the force of just the pressure of society, how we see our own beauty, our own value, our own self-worth is unfortunately very tied to the cultural model, to the images that we see. So it's so interesting to me that, you were a model, you were very successful, everybody said that you were beautiful, but inside, there was not that strong conviction at that time of self-worth, and all of the spiritual growth that you have done has now allowed for this tremendous acceptance of self and embracing your multidimensional beauty. I always talk about multidimensional beauty, to be truly unified, bring back those soul fragments, and be this unified divine channel, creative channel. So I wonder what you could share with our viewers today who may not yet be on that other side of acceptance. They may struggle with their weight, or feeling that they're somehow inadequate or not beautiful enough, or they still secretly need approval even though they don't want approval. I know you work with women to help them embody self-love and recognize their own beauty. In fact, we'll talk a little bit later in the show about the Fire Flower Retreat, which will allow any of you viewers out there to do just this. It's a safe sisterhood in which you can do this. But, you're our expert, Eden. So tell us a little bit about how you work with your clients in this way.
Great.
And Eden,
Oh, go ahead.
if you could also share with us when that transition was for you, from kind of being out of your body, like when you were modeling and trying to figure it out, and then when you really kind of dropped in and gave yourself permission also. So we like to hear both.
Great. So if I just journey back in my heart and my mind to that time, it was around my Saturn return. And the feeling that I had, that I'm sure so many of our viewers and we all can relate to, is this feeling of almost keeping it together, like propping ourselves up. And there's this undercurrent of fear. There's this undercurrent of, if I'm not enough, if I don't try hard enough, if I don't look good enough, I won't survive or get love. And so many of us suffer from this core lie that we're not enough. And even underneath that is like, we're not lovable. So in the work I do and the work that I experienced personally, I didn't have a shamanic guide or a strong sisterhood at the time. It was around 28, 29 years old when my world came crashing down. There was a sense of like, I can't hold this facade up anymore. I can't keep it together for the client or the boyfriend or whatever approval of the other and look the certain way and feel like now I'm safe because I'm loved from the outside. And I think that there's a couple really key elements in our personal journey that we'll all have to meet at one time or another. One is the holding of the inner child, the essence self, as precious and perfect and absolutely more than enough. And a simple practice I do with the women, we can all do it together right now. We can put one hand on our heart, another hand on our lower belly. And once again, maybe close your eyes and just feel your back body and feel how even just in our lives, we're often leaning forward in this kind of like future-based anxiety of like, keep it together. And I just want to invite us to rest, just rest back a few millimeters more into our back body. And as we do that, feel us are coming down and feeling our own weight on our sits bones. And then the allowance of deepening the breath. We're often shallow breathers, and that breath is just so key to coming back to present moment. So really deepening our breath, maybe doing a couple deep sighs. Breathing all the way down into that womb space, that lower belly, and just feeling the warmth of that hand there on the lower belly. Simultaneously just giving the heart just a little lift, like a slightly heavenward orientation. You can feel as we lift the heart and feel the warmth of that hand, and yet we're anchored in the lower belly. We're really holding ourselves, and we're allowing that lifted kind of radiant energy to pour into the heart chakra. And yet we're feeling the safety and the holding and that secure hand on the lower belly. Now I'll just invite you for a moment to travel down in your mind's eye deep into that womb space. As women, we are so blessed to have this potent, creative cauldron where so much dreaming power resides. And in the same depths of our subconscious, in this womb space, we hold a lot of emotion. We hold a lot of unintegrated emotion. And often it's just about allowing ourselves permission to feel in the moment. And just in your awareness, just becoming aware of what is there. And as we feel, whether it's sorrow or fear or anger, whatever frequency might be just under the surface, it might be excitement, it might be joy. Just by touching it without changing or fixing, just allowing it, the full embrace, we start to transmute this polarization. We start to love our shadow as we love our light. And as we do that, we invite the safety that the inner child, the essence self, can feel like, oh, you're tuning into me because I live within you. I'm your subconscious. I'm constantly running the show when you're not aware. Thank you for coming back to me, giving me this beautiful connection of presence. So just breathing with that feeling of your precious heart, this precious body temple, feeling the sacredness this vehicle, this amazing body that gives us so much pleasure when we allow it, when we open to that energy. So taking another really deep breath into the heart and the belly, I'm going to invite us just to invoke with our intent that ray of gratitude to coming back to be fully present in this body at this time, to touch all of it, shadow and light. Yeah. Bringing now both your hands down to your lower belly, I'm just going to invite a very subtle movement, a gentle rocking in the sacrum, the pelvis. There's so much life force energy that resides in this center, the Kundalini, our Shakti, a pure creative essence of her. As we rock and we feel that wave start to bubble up, just connecting your breath and feeling how as we rock the pelvis, it lifts the heart. And I want you to invite an inner smile, just that Taoist inner smile, like swallowing down that smile, joy and gratitude, blessing our body up in this moment exactly as it is, with these hands of light, holding the self, honoring the self. We start to trust ourselves more when we make time for self-loving, self-honoring practices. So we don't have all the time in the world now for a longer meditation. So I would just say to continue this simple practice on your own and feed the feminine first. Practices like this, and no matter what shape or size your body is, I have been 65 pounds larger twice in my life with each of my pregnancies. There's a way that when we touch and explore and celebrate every cell, every molecule of these sacred holy body vessels, they glow, they radiate, they are beautiful exactly as they are. It's about opening the eyes of our own heart to truly receive ourselves in a new way, to rest and accept ourselves in a new way. So let's bring our hands together and namaste one more time. Yeah, thank you for taking this moment with me just to ground in your body and feel. That's the key. That's one of the keys right there. Another key that I was made aware of is that in each of our soul's journeys, there's often these gateway initiations, these times where we are asked to dismantle, to let go, like the caterpillar that must dissolve completely to its form into those imaginal cells, to then emerge in grace, emerge as the butterfly. When we hold on too tightly and we're constricted with these familial, ancestral, even societal, cultural stories, these small stories, we're not given that deeper dive, that release. So we are being asked now collectively as women to take this hero's journey to really just say, enough of this, to invoke that fire first, that no, this is my life. I claim this body. I claim this story. This is my new mythic story. And within that hero's journey, often there's a lot of letting go, a lot of dismantling that must ensue first before the rising of the phoenix and the opening to the grace. So be brave, my loves. You're not alone. And the shadow is the jewel. We were so culturally ingrained to chase the light and hide from the shadow and suppress the shadow. I'm telling you that kernel, that discomfort, that voice, that niggling voice of something's not right, and that resting with ourselves exactly as we are, even in our fear, in our sorrow, in our rage, that's the fuel for transmutation. That's the alchemical magic waiting right under the surface.
You're such a radiant goddess. Love you. Thank you for doing this work in the world. Thank you.
I'm feeling such a huge collective shift for our viewers and all of the beautiful radiant goddesses who will join us after this show. Everybody connecting in different times and different spaces to this work. I know, Julie, you've been sharing quite a bit recently about the heavy energies that are being transmuted at this time, and also with the eclipse. Much that has been hidden is now being revealed, and I feel for all of us sisters collectively, this is the time to come together. This is the time to seek out support. This is the time to realize that you are not alone, and that there are sacred circles for you to join in, to receive the support for the next level of your journey. Because that's something I also wanted to kind of discuss on the show today. Once we've cast off the old, there's a very sensitive, vulnerable time of a period between the new dream being dreamed through us and the grieving of the old that we have released. So retreats and transformative retreats are so unique and essential at this time to be in a protected space, to do this deep, deep dreaming and this deep visioning. Julie also leads magnificent retreats. So maybe both of you wonderful radiant goddesses can share what is so unique. I know it from myself. Before I went on a retreat, I don't have time for it. This is, what am I really going to get out of this? I was blown away. My whole sacred business was channeled to me within something like a space of 7 days. So I'm a believer, but for those women out there who haven't yet given themselves permission to take that sacred time and feel trusting in a group of new people to do this deep work, what could you, Julie and Eden, say to really get across to our radiant goddesses how essential it is to come together in community in this sacred type of circle?
Mm-hmm. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'm going to speak real briefly because I want to really hear about you, Eden. Something that I've noticed always is that after we've given ourselves permission, Jasmine, like you had mentioned, it really, we're not only giving ourselves permission to shed the old and to also look at what we need to be able to reflect the light back in, which Eden was speaking about. When we give ourselves permission and then again are able to fully, that's one of the first steps, to fully receive. When we're able to receive in sisterhood, coming together, our energies are much more powerful. They're much more nurtured, they're much more cultivated and much more connected. And as we all know the basics, hunters and gatherers. We are gatherers in nature. And within our own womb space, we are able to create children and actually manifest and create on a universal pattern. So when we come together, that potency is that much more powerful. And Eden, I'd love to hear about your event. It's in a few weeks. I'm sure you listeners could actually, I don't know when your deadline is, but you could actually get a ticket and fly to the islands. This retreat, Elaine, Kalila, and Eden are putting together will change your life. So I invite you to, we'll be sure to leave a link for the beautiful video that they created and where to sign up for their event. So Eden, can you share with us more about the event that you've created that's coming up for our listeners?
Absolutely. I'm feeling called to speak a little bit into just the power and magic of alchemy and sisterhood as well. I've been running a full 13 moon program where we dive deep into each of these faces of the divine feminine every moon. And there's something about being reflected by sacred mirrors in a safe container, in a container where the agreement, the commitment to go the distance together is really strong. And the agreement to clear any projections is totally impeccable. So we're coming from, many of us having a lot of mother wounds, and often like a residue of like, can I trust the feminine? There's been a lot of collective healing around, this old paradigm of competition and comparison. And this is a really big part of what we're going to dive deeply into on the Fire Flower Retreat. How to transmute that sense, which really is born from the illusion of scarcity. Transmute that first within ourselves into our own radiant wholeness and more than enoughness, to then be able to really receive each other in our unique beauty and to celebrate and support each other in sisterhood. And I see this happen again and again in these circles that I am leading, co-leading, where a new level of receptivity, opening, and then I would say the ability to transmute some of our core wounding happens beyond the mental body. It's beyond the kind of, book smart, taking notes, writing things down. This is embodied practices. This is deep ritual and being held, having an embodied experience of being held in a whole new paradigm of love between women. Safe, nurturing, uplifting, championing for each other. And I think we've heard that quote, girls compete, women collaborate. And it's so true, this deep soul collaboration where we not only feel each other's movement and triumphs as our own and celebrate that mudita, that shared joy. That's a Sanskrit word for when you're crying because you're witnessing your beloved sister have this breakthrough where she claims in this potent alchemical space a new level of self-love and empowerment that you don't just hear, you feel the resonance ripple through your body and goosebumps and tears spring out of your eyes. And you get on an embodied level, there is only one of us here and we are awakening together. We are in this together like a wave, like this huge, beautiful wave of opening and beauty for the whole planet, for our daughters, for our sons, for our lovers, for our brothers, for Gaia herself. It becomes more than this, like, I want a better job. I want to find my twin flame. I want to lose weight. It's bigger than that. It's much bigger than that. The empowerment, yes, it ripples out and impacts every aspect of our lives, but it's really for the one. It's for this collective awakening. And a key that I bring and hold and will be really focusing on in the Fire Flower Retreat is the archetype of the primal goddess. What is her gift? When we kind of feel into the primal self, that kind of like animal self almost, and her animal totems are the jaguar, the big cats, the kundalini serpents, the snake energy. And you feel into, where has my light been blocked and dimmed down? Where have I been constricted and playing small? And imagine being given permission to shake and sound and feel at a whole new level, with your sisters doing it with you, with the safety of this incredible container holding you, to liberate yourself, to shake free from this box that you've been living in. And then with that Shakti, with that pure creative life force energy, tapping into pleasure, tapping into ecstasy that's within. We don't need the stimulus from outside. We don't need to be in a physical love-making situation to feel ecstatic bliss and pleasure. That is the power of these incredible female body temples, tapping into those currents together, awakening to our authentic power, which isn't about control at all. It isn't about power over any situations or any other beings. It's about coming into our opened up aliveness, our freedom, our creativity, to really navigate and choreograph our lives at a whole new level here. That's what I'm so excited about on this particular retreat, focusing on the archetypes of the goddess of love, which is healing that sense of not enoughness, opening to that cornucopia of abundance, within and then magnetizing that in our out picturing in our lives. And the primal goddess's gift of healing shame and constriction and blocks in the body to open up to that power, that raw radiance and creative Shakti power.
Magnificent. Our theme for today was walking your talk as an awakened queen. So for all of you beautiful radiant goddesses out there who know there's that extra level that you could grow into, and there, yes, you deserve that joy. And
Yes, you do deserve
so if
it.
you're on the fence, I think it's really good that Eden tells us a little bit about, what is it to be sovereign? What is it to be in this place of joy? So you're going to come through this experience, and it's not like going to the spa or on vacation where you come back and you are the same person solving problems at the same level. You've actually elevated your consciousness. You've become an awakened queen, and you're going to see huge shifts, actual shifts in your life as you return. So maybe you can speak to what awaits on the other side of the veil, Eden, upon return from this beautiful retreat.
I will speak to that. Thank you. First, I want to be radically honest and say that your life will challenge you when you come back. When you've gone into an initiatory soul experience like this, you'll be faced with the same reflections from before, but it's about now how you choose and navigate. And really, when we think about power, there's two kinds of power. There's that raw, energetic, creative life force power, that inner fire. And then there's the power to choose. There's the power to navigate at a whole new level of awareness. And that, the power to choose with the truth, your truth in each moment, is sovereignty. That's what it is to be an awakened queen. It's to rest in the center of your own life and to claim your own story with such fierce self-love that you have this new level of dreaming power. And when I say dreaming, I mean it in the dreaming awake way, where we're creating a new dream here together. So you will be challenged. You'll be tested by old relationships. You'll be tested by those old belief systems that are still showing up. And yet you'll have this resolve, this deeper knowing, because you've had such a profoundly embodied experience of feeling the difference. This isn't about a workshop that you take really good notes and you get that workshop high and you have a lot of fun, and then you come back and the notes go in a drawer and you go back into your old karmic habit. This is about like, I can no longer fit in the shape that I once was in. It's painful and it takes great courage. So I am appealing to those women, and the retreat will house 13 to 15 women. This is not a big giant retreat, because it takes a certain soul that's ready, that's really ready to up level at this degree of soulful initiation and to live into it. So I'm calling out to you who is like, enough of this. I am so ready. I am so ready, and I'm willing to go on that hero's journey, because as we know, as light workers and in this great shift of awakening, there is a lot of tests, there's a lot of initiations, and there's challenges, and it might feel really uncomfortable, like that caterpillar dissolving before we feel that full spreading of our wings. But as we come out of the portal of the fire flower, and as I see my initiates coming out of the portal of the 13 moon circles, they're holding themselves in a different way. They're speaking their story in a different way. The story they tell themselves and they tell others has radically changed. So that's the gift, and it's priceless. And I want that for all women.
And that's what all our viewers are really searching for. We're so happy to serve you with the Radiant Goddess Show, bringing you the very best experts on divine feminine leadership, divine feminine self-care. It's just such an honor to have you share these gifts. And for those viewers out there, Eden, for our Radiant Goddesses who are interested in the work that you do with the 13 moons, maybe it's a great time to share some of what they could experience if they would work with you in that capacity as well.
Okay. So at this moment, I have a full 13 moon circle, and it's a tightly bound group of 13 initiates where we travel deeply together each moon into a different archetypal frequency, a face of the goddess, the divine feminine, as she lives through us, as she expresses through us. And each of these archetypes is a frequency that we are often familiar with, but have never really experienced an embodied communion with. So the day-long, their ceremonial ritual days, the day-long experience gives us a full embodied experience of what it is to feel the music, the mudra, the mantra, the flower essences, the sacred herbs, the sacred geometries, the animal totems, the color frequencies. It's a rich temple space that we create. I think I might have sent you an image of one of these temples, one of these beautiful, like lush, blue, deep priestess moon temple, I think the image was. And there's something that happens when we are in a coherent container. And you can talk about it, but really to experience it is a whole nother thing. There is a level of activation, and often alchemy happens that could feel uncomfortable. I've experienced alchemy as sweating, as shivering, as feeling waves of like almost like nausea coming through. It's on a cellular level. So the potency of this is that the alchemy is there to transmute anything and everything in the way of our authentic presence and love, unconditional love of self, of other. That's the power of alchemy. It brings us back to this essence self that is love. So the women that are being called are having incredible, I witnessed them like butterflies emerging. We're going into our 6th face of the goddess. We're just completing. Behind me is a small altar for the 5th face of the goddess, which is the Lady of Communion. And these are the frequencies of green and gold. It is the archetype that the goddess Artemis belongs to. And it has everything to do with sovereignty and authentic power. This is the weave of our masculine and feminine essence, where we are no longer polarized, living as halves, searching for someone else to complete us or make us feel whole. This is the time where we look at where we've been out of balance, and we lovingly create practices and intentions and deepen with that essence self, whether it's the sword of the masculine that needs to be activated to take radical action, or if it's the chalice of the feminine, that trusting and receiving and surrendering and opening more. So each of us knows in our heart of hearts which aspect would bring us more into balance. And there's just so much juiciness and wealth of growth and insight. And as I say again, it's an embodied tantric experience. It is emerging with that archetypal essence. And this circle is well on its way, and I will be going through till next October with this configuration and planning on continuing these circles in the new year, in the beginning of the new year. And I'm excited about offering retreats in the meanwhile for beings that haven't jumped on board with me for that longer journey, but that really feel called for getting to know some of these archetypes and how they lived through them already, and maybe how their shadow has been running the show, and they're ready to really come into more awareness and use this communion with the goddess as a path of awakening.
So does this program, this coming together, start every year at the same time?
You know, it doesn't. It's very fluid in the feminine and the mystery. It comes together when those souls are ready, and I can have every intention to start on a certain date, and then I just listen. I listen to, do I need to wait? And there's more people coming through. My intention is to begin again in the beginning of 2017, and that I'll start beaming that out after October. My commitment to this configuration is just to really be focused with them until that time.
And where can our listeners, can you share your website to where they can sign in to receive information from you for updates?
And get on the waiting list for next
Yeah.
year. I know I can feel into the energy, and I know there are some women watching today. You feel the pull, you feel the call. So if you are waiting for this activation and you know that you would like to begin this with a whole brand new year of 2017, get on this waiting list today. Eden's going to tell us how you can contact her, and don't delay. Don't put off this sacred work another moment.
I want to speak into the potency of an in-person experience, because I know so many of our priestess sisters are starting to offer these incredible online courses, and there's so much value in that. And often there are a retreat or two connected to that. There's something about meeting with a configuration of women in person to have that alchemical experience in person that is just so potent. It's beyond the screen, beyond the, you're in your own home and the distractions. It's just held very strongly. So yes, if you're feeling called for that, and I have women that fly every month for it. It's a big commitment, but it is really worth it. The website that I would send you to is awakening-beauty.net. You could also find me at edenamadora.com.
And we'll also have all of her links in the follow-up email if you missed the show, if you're one of those people. So just keep your eyes open, and we'll have all of her information, as well as her amazing photos and music, on our Facebook page, The Radiant Goddess Show. So you can always message us there if you lost it or can't find it, and we'll connect you with her.
Absolutely. So make sure to like the page, Radiant Goddess Show, because it's because of you that we have this amazing show. So let us know what you're looking for. Let us know what you need. We are here to serve you. Share the page with all of the other Radiant Goddesses in your life, and make sure to have them sign up so they can access this incomparable wisdom from Eden Amadora, and maybe even join her on her upcoming retreat. So that's very exciting. I know that you're going to be doing a really big webinar. So if women are seeing this later, they may be able to even sign into that, right? For a replay or something like that.
We are, right after this call, I'm jumping on another live webinar call that will be recorded. I would love both of you to put a little blurb maybe today, even though this recording goes out later.
For sure.
The amazing offer that will be given during that call will only last till next Tuesday midnight. So I wanted to let people know about it. Come, Julie. Cool. I want you there. I want both of you there. It'd be so amazing. The vision that I'm really holding is that these already just beautiful, open-hearted, powerful leaders in their own communities, and women that know that's their path, that they are magnetized to this retreat, that we up level together and amplify this workout at a whole new level from that portal together on the planet afterward.
Magnificent. A true metaphysical mastermind, the only kind I would ever want to join.
I'm an emissary of the goddess, and she is coming through stronger than ever. I'm just getting out of the way here.
So we're gonna give a great shout out. Gonna give a great shout out on our Facebook pages, definitely, for this event. And even if you're coming to this video weeks later, months later, know there is such a magical thing as a waiting list, and that you're putting in your order to the divine. So make sure to sign up, put in your order.
And we will do more of these Fire Flower retreats. They are definitely going to start happening biannually. So
beautiful.
Get on board.
And know that it's your time, ladies, Radiant Goddesses. Know that it is time for you to step into your truth and into your power, and come into circle with these amazing women that are offering their hearts to you as a really beautiful platform and grounding point to connect with Source and these amazing goddesses. And I really invite you to honor yourself by working with somebody like Eden, and learning and really giving yourself permission. So again, I invite you. Thank you.
And so that's all we have time for today, Radiant Goddesses. And make sure to tune in next time for the Radiant Goddess Show, where wisdom and empowerment meet. Again, today we had special guest Eden Amadora, and our topic for today was how to walk your talk as an awakened queen. So make sure to take these special practices that you've learned today and apply whatever resonates with you, so you can become the radiant goddess you're already meant to be. So thanking you all from the depths of my heart, thanking Julie, thanking our beautiful sister goddess Eden. Tune in next time for the next episode of the Radiant Goddess Show.